SQL interview question and answer. Question number 10. What do you mean by primary key in a table in SQL? This question is asking about definition of primary key in a table in SQL, how to create primary key, and what are the characteristics of primary key. Let me define first primary key and going furthermore. A column in a database table which uniquely identifies values is called primary key. It avoids two records from a column having duplicate values, and it doesn't accept null value. A table can accept only one primary key, and primary key can be a single column or combination of multiple columns. From this definition, we mainly concern 3 points. First one, primary key uniquely identifies values in that column. Number 2, it doesn't accept null value. And number 3, a table can accept only one primary key, and primary key can be a single column or combination of multiple columns. Let me create a table with primary key first, then insert data into it. Next one, check whether it can accept null value or not, and finally check whether it can accept duplicate records for the primary key or not. First of all, creating a table with primary key, I am using here a single column primary key. That means single column represents primary key. Let me create a table. It starts with create statement. Create table, class underscore A is the table name. Inside the parentheses, we have to provide column name with data type. Here first column is student ID, which is integer. Second one, first name, varchar 2, total length 50. Third one, last name, varchar 2, total length 50. Fourth one, email, varchar 2, 100, length. Fifth one, gender, varchar 2, total length 2. And we have mentioned here primary key is student ID. That means in this table, one of the column is student ID, which we have defined here. This column is primary key. When we run this code, then it will create a table name class underscore A, which includes 5 columns where student ID is primary key. Next step, checking table creation. We can use this code to check whether it has created table or not. We start with select star from class underscore A. When we run this code, it will display table without data. That means it has column names, but there is no data. Next one, checking properties of columns. To check the properties of the column, we can use describe table name, or in short form we use DESC, table name class underscore A, and run. Then it will display following result. Name of the column, whether it can accept null or not, and type of the columns or data type. From here it shows that student ID is not null. That means it cannot accept null value. It is a number. Its total length is 38. Similarly, first name, last name, email, and gender, they can accept null value. And they have corresponding length, data type, and length. Next step, inserting data into the table. Table name is class underscore A. To insert data into the table, we use insert statement. In this example, we are going to insert two rows. That's why we are using here to insert statement. Insert into class underscore A. Inside the parentheses, we provide column name. Columns are student ID, first name, last name, email, gender. Next, we provide values. Inside the parentheses, we provide value. Those values are corresponding to column name. That means first value corresponds to student ID, second value first name, third value last name, fourth value email, and fifth value gender. When we run second set of code, then two row will insert into the table. Next step, let me try to insert null in the primary key. To insert null, we again start with insert statement. Insert into class underscore A. Inside parentheses, we provide column name. In place of values, I have provided here null. In place of student ID, I have given here null, null, and try to insert into the table. When we try to insert into the table, it will throw error. It says here null value cannot be inserted into the student ID column. Next, let me try to insert missing value in the primary key. To insert missing value, we start with insert statement. Insert into table name. We provide column name inside the parentheses. Values. Then here student ID is missing. That means there is no student ID. When we run this code, then it will throw error. It says here missing information. That means we cannot insert missing value in primary key. Last one is, let me try to insert another same value, that means a duplicate record in the primary key. I am going to insert one of the record which I have already inserted into the table, which is second row. When I try to insert into the table, it will throw error. That means unique constraint violated. That means primary key only accepts unique value. That's why it cannot accept duplicate records. When we run these 5 set of code in Oracle developer window, then we can observe exactly same result. Let me go through Oracle developer window and run these 5 set of code and observe the result. This is Oracle developer window. We have 5 set of code. First set of code, it creates a table with primary key where single column primary key is mentioned here. Student ID column is used as a primary key. This table has 5 columns. Let me run this code and observe the result. It says here table class underscore A created. That means table has created. Let me check whether it is created correct table or not. Table has 5 columns: student ID, first name, last name, email, and gender. Because in first step we have created empty table. Let me check data type and column name by using describe table name statement. In short form, we can use DESC table name class underscore A. Let me run this code. We observe result S1 on this window. That means we observe name, 5 columns. Whether it can accept null value or not. Student ID cannot accept null value. But other 4 columns they can accept null value. Type represents what type of the data we can include. Student ID is number, total length 38, and other 4 are characters. It has mentioned here type and total length. Let me use second set of code. That means inserting data into the table. In this step, I am going to insert 2 rows having 2 different student ID, 1001 and 1002. Let me run this code and observe the result. It says here 2 rows inserted. Let me check table again. We observe 2 rows, student ID 1001 and 1002. That's correct. Next step, third set of code. Let me try to insert null in the primary key. Null means I'm using here null. Insert into table, values. In place of student ID, I have used here null. Try to insert into the table and observe the result. Let me run this code. It says here we cannot insert null into student ID column. That means student ID column cannot accept null. Next one, let me try to insert a missing value in place of primary key. Because in case of value, missing value also indicates null value. To identify whether it can accept missing value or not, I'm going to run this code where there is no data in place of student ID. Let me run this code and observe the result. It says here missing expression. That means we cannot accept missing value in place of student ID, which is assumed as primary key. That means in case of primary key, we cannot use a missing value. Then last set of code, let me run this code where I am going to insert same value, that means duplicated value, into the table. In this example, I am going to insert same record which I have already inserted in second row and try to know whether it can accept duplicate record in primary key or not. Let me run this code and observe the result. It says here unique constraint violated. That means we cannot insert duplicate record in primary key. In this way, it is clear that primary key uniquely identifies values in that column. It cannot accept null value, and table can accept only one primary key, and we can use single column or multiple columns as a primary key. That's all about question number 10. Thank you.